In that conversation, it became clear that we started to have a generational difference. We were thinking too much about the separation between self-advocates and families, as Shelley referenced, and we were still thinking about family support as a program, right? So let's get a funding stream, let's get Title II of the Developmental Disabilities Act funded, let's find a way to come up with a whole bunch of money to make sure the families have what they need. It's not sustainable. I mean, as you know, the need is insatiable, and the more that we build, the more they will come, and the more we create our reliance on the service system. So that conversation really started over a decade ago, and then we pulled folks together at Wingspread to start to think about, well, what should be the agenda for supporting families? And we flipped the words. We flipped the words from family support so that we could get out of this notion of a program and move towards what is this more holistic notion of supporting families and what should it look like? And from that conversation, there were a lot of different points of view. As you can imagine, when you put 35 people in a room who have built their lives and their professional careers around the notion of family support and say, what should the agenda be going forward? Consensus is probably not the best word that I would use in terms of how the conversation unfolded, but it was clear that there was a lot of respect for the work that had come and that had paved it forward for future families, and this notion of proving the concept that if we support families, we support the individual. But there was also this acknowledgement that we need to start thinking about it differently. And if we could give families one thing, if we give every family in the United States who has a family member who experiences disability, what would that one gift, what would that one thing be? And it was the notion of having a vision and having the opportunity to expect that there is an abundancy in our local communities and an acceptance that's available to people in our local communities that is not always grounded completely in the service system. That the service system should facilitate and support that membership in community and that membership in life, and this notion that we say to families early on, whether it's at diagnosis or birth or whenever, that there's this system and we, the helpers, right? We're all helpers in this field. We, the helpers, are there and we're going to make sure that this person is cared for. That we needed to change that conversation, because that conversation has now engendered mistrust, right? Families don't trust the system because they haven't experienced what we promised, right? Which is, we'll be there for you. Well, actually, we'll be there if the state legislature funds us, and we'll be there if you fit into this box, and we'll be there when you hit this criteria, and we may or may not be there for you, right? And we have to change that conversation. And instead of saying, we'll be there for you, we need to create a culture that says, actually, the service system can support and facilitate some aspects of your life, but you actually have to have a life, both you, the family, and you, the individual, that then we wrap into. And that's different. And over the next 8 hours, you're going to hear a lot of things. And for those of you who are new to this conversation, there's some cognitive dissonance. I'm going to acknowledge that right up front. Every time we have this conversation, it's hard and it's new and you have to think differently. It is about facilitating, helping families facilitate a life for themselves and for their family member. And that those supports, the STAR that you're going to hear a lot about over the day, can come from lots of different places. So what does that mean in real terms? For our family, my daughter Zoe is 20, and we have lived in places where we have not accessed formal Medicaid paid services. First, I lived in a state where the services at the time were not available to kids under 18, other than kids with very, very, very high needs. And now I live in a state that's one of those lovely places that has, 10,000 people on a waiting list. So it's not been something that's been part of our picture. So, right, so we've had the basic toolkit of our family, our community, our friends, and our schools. And there are moments when it's not easy, right? So you have to get creative, and you have to figure out where are the opportunities for her and for us that are based in community.
So Zoe's 20. She finished high school without a diploma. We're in a standards-based state that wasn't available to her as a person with an intellectual disability. And she tried college far away from home in one of the transition programs, and that didn't work out for her. And she tried and she pushed her way out and did that, and now she's back at home and she's attending community college. And one of Zoe's passions is using public transportation. So it is an activity unto itself. For some of you may know Rachel Simon, her sister, who likes to ride the bus. Zoe's one of those people. She likes to ride the bus, she likes to ride the metro, she likes to have the freedom that gives her and the opportunity to engage with lots and lots of strangers in very small chunks of conversation. So there's a lot of people in our lives who look at me and say, oh my God, you give her a Metro card in Washington, D.C. and let her go? And what kind of travel training has she done? Is she certified? Is she safe? Is she... Right? I mean, this is what we do to families, right? This is the message. And I have to stop and think, like, why does she have to have a certification, right? Why is the assumption that she has to be deemed safe by others? Because we have had situations that have been challenging. We had, she went to the movies a few months ago with another young woman, and they got separated. And she was in a part of town that she did not know well. She was in a metro station she'd never been in before. And she called me from the platform, and she said, we got separated, I'm not sure which train to get on. And then her cell phone died. This is one of those mom moments where you breathe and you hope that the stars all align, right? So I don't hear from her. So I wait about 2 hours. Anxiety level is increasing. And I finally decide that I actually need to call somebody and start figuring out where the hell she is. So I learned a fun fact. I called the transit police, Washington, D.C. Metro, big metro center. And I said, this is a situation, my daughter was traveling, she was here, she should have been back by now, I can't find her, is there anything you guys can do? I don't want to turn this into, a big search or something, but is there some way to check with the station manager and the station that we know that she was last in, da-da-da. And I was amazed because they were like, oh, no problem. We have a system where we can send an email to each of the station managers on the route that you think that she might be on. We can describe her, and if anybody has had a conversation with her, they'll let us know and we'll give you a call back. So I waited about 20 minutes, and then I got a call, and they said, well, she did the right thing. She was in that station, she was in Greenbelt, and she went and she talked to the station manager, and she got some assistance in getting on the route that she needed to get on. And so she did that, and if you check her Metro card, you'll be able to see whether or not she's come back out of the system. And so we would expect that she's going to be home soon. So okay, fine. So I went to our local station, and I went to go talk to the manager to see if he had seen her come out the other end. And as I'm standing there, my husband calls and says, oh, she's home. And the station manager in our local station said, oh yeah, we know Zoe, and she came through about a half an hour ago, and then she caught the 28A bus and she's on her way home. Why are you worried about it? She's perfectly fine. We don't teach families that that's okay. We don't. We don't. When your child is born or diagnosed, we say, you must trust us, we must trust the system, we must trust the services, we must focus on what we will provide. And that's really disempowering. And that's the fundamental work. The work is the life course and figuring out the ways to use the tools, but the tools are exactly that. They are tools to get you towards a different orientation in your thinking, and a different orientation in how we work with families and how we work with people with disabilities, so that the service system is sustainable, is providing people with what they need and not more, and that families understand that there are all these other things, that technology can play a role, that neighbors can play a role. For those of you who heard my Trader Joe's story, that your local retailer can play a role, right? There are other ways to get things done, and it doesn't all have to be about the service life. It's about the good life, which you'll hear those words a lot today. So the tools are incredible. Shelley and her team have developed a great orientation to the work with a lot of flexibility and the opportunity to support that change in thinking and that change in culture. But they are tools, and the outputs from the tools are not what's important. What's important is the culture change and the orientation in your thinking so that we can support all families to have the vision, the dream, and the opportunity to understand that there's an abundance of ways to achieve that dream, and they don't have to modify it based on what the service system provides. So thank you for being here today. I'm going to turn it back over to Shelley.